Okay, fellows, there we have got a question over here. That is basically a consultancy firm who are saying that they are managing a portfolio in which they have a specific budget for a specific activity, and when they enter certain expenses, it should automatically be minimized from the main budget. So there are three, four cases in which we can solve this thing. It could be a complicated method. It could be a simple one. So I'll start with a simple one. Suppose the total budget in hand that they have is, for example, 500,000, right? And when you put 500,000 here, it is basically a static data. It cannot change. What happens here is that, for example, now we need here a journal, or you can say a daily write-up, we can call it, or you can call it a journal. In journal, for example, on this specific date, and this specific date, they purchase something. For example, let's write description, and we write an amount here. Right. Now, let me put date here. Okay, on 1/1/2019, suppose they purchased stationery, and the amount was 12,000 rupees. Now, on 1/2/2019, they purchased something else. For example, they purchased food items, right? Food items. And for food items, they paid like 50,000 rupees, right? Similarly, they are paying for like salaries, and they are paying for wages, they are paying for raw material, they are paying for other expenses. So what happens here is the person who has posed this question, he is asking that when I enter an amount over here, it should be automatically minimized from this 500,000 rupees. Now, there are certain things and we can do, and it's the most simple way of doing these things. Now, instead of putting a 500,000 rupees over here, we put a formula which says is equal to 500,000 minus the sum of these expenses. Now we have expenses over here. When you enter, it says that 438,000 rupees are still in your budget. What happens here if you write something after this, and you can call it like for salaries they paid suppose 120,000. So when you enter it, it will automatically decrease it from here. You can see it. It's updating since Microsoft Excel functions or formulas in Microsoft Excel. They are instantly updated as vendor data. So let's type another one, and can you please put your eye in here, and we can see what the results are. Like suppose if I minimize 50,000 more in the name of wages, so you can see that 268,000 rupees are there, but there is a slight problem in this case. For example, if I put like 300,000 rupees expenses in raw material, it will put two parentheses around the balance, which means that it is a negative value. It is minus 32,000. In fact, in accounting, they are like putting two brackets. And if you are working in a colored environment, specifically for printing, so the color of this should be red, which we can learn in our other lectures. Now, this is a question posed in a comment, how to solve this problem. So this is the case one. This case number one, in this case, we did a static versus a dynamic set of data in which we put 500,000 rupees, and all the expenses that you put here, they will be minimized from here. Now let's do case number two, in which I'll put a balance amount here. And this balance amount will show you the balance of whatever we are getting and whatever you are paying. Now suppose if I put a date over here, I'll say that I will put all my cash inflows here and all my cash outflows here. Now, if you put something here, like for example, I got check number one, it gave me 100,000 rupees. So I should be able to track it down and add it here somewhere. Point number one. Point number two, if you continue adding, like for example, check number two and put another 200,000 rupees here, it should automatically add up here. On the other hand, if you put, for example, salaries, you paid salaries and you put an amount here like 10,000 rupees, so it should be deducted from this place. Now let me put some color so we can clearly identify what we are going to do with this thing. And it's a simple thing. I can show you another complicated thing in which we have multiple projects and multiple cash flows depending on. Now then there will be confusion that, for example, if I am minimizing an amount of out of expenses, from which project shall it be minimized? So we are putting out our data. So let's put a formula over here. If our balance is equal to sum whatever inflow of cash we have. You can select 100,000 rows. It is not a limited thing. Minus what happens here is another sum. Whatever comes here, you should minimize it or minus it. Subtract it, you can say. So you can say there's a 290,000 rupees balance. Why? Because 3,000 and minus 10,000, it will sum up to this. So now we have another check number 3 comes in and it says that another 500,000 is brought into the business. But at the same time, we purchase some raw material, and we paid an amount of 200,000. So as you put 200,000, you can see that it is minimizing the balance from here. But still, there is a slight problem, and the slight problem says that, for example, if like if you put 100 and, for example, 10 lakh rupees or 100 lakh rupees, so it will show you a minus sign, which is not very reliable in business language. You should have something descriptive which says that you are going into a minus balance or a negative balance, or you are over expensed, or your main terminologies which you can use. Now, in order to do this, we can add to our function and say that if our sum of this range that we have here, if it is greater than or equal to this one, okay, sum of this one, some function not working, okay, then what do we do? What do we do? We do now, we don't need to do anything until this point. Now, if you put another bracket and call it, if this is a reality check and we have done this, then let's do it and call it nothing. Then we are good with this, sum of this and this. We're very good. At the end, what if this is not the case and the cash outflows are higher than the cash inflow? So we will then say that still we need a sum of this one minus a sum of this one, the cash outflows. But at the end, we want to put something a bit more descriptive. And you can write a message over here, like for example, over expensed, you can say, or any word that you like. If you enter it here, it will give you a slight heart attack and the name of value. Let's check there is some functional issue. If the sum, so we don't need a bracket over here. One bracket is enough. And then we don't need a bracket over here. One bracket is enough. I think it will work. So now, what happens is, for example, if you bring something else, like for example, we hired a consultant and the consultant was charging us like 500,000 rupees. If you put it here, still 90,000 is there. But if again we say that we paid, like for example, in for some expert opinion, we hired a guy who was an expert, and his opinion costed us like 250,000 or 200,000 rupees. So you can see that it shows that it is over expensed. Still, we have a problem of spacing here, which we can solve by just putting a space after this first quote, and then we are good with that. Similarly, we can also remove this minus sign. And how can I do that? That is a very pretty and very simple way. Now, if you go to function and bring this second sum before this one, it will solve this issue for you. So control V and a minus sign. So it is telling you that we are 110,000 rupees over expensed. It means that our expenditures or our expenses, they are higher by 110,000 rupees than our inflow of cash or income. We can, in some situations, we can call it income, but normally it's an inflow cash. Suppose there comes another situation when we receive another check number 4, and this check, it has some, let me put a higher amount, 500,000 rupees. As you put it here, you can see that now it says that you have a balance of 390,000 rupees because our inflow of cash, it is higher than our outflow of cash. If our outflows are higher than our inflows, then automatically it will show you the over-expensed caption alongside this thing. Thank you so much for the question. The third case, it is a very difficult one, which I'll deal with in the next one. It says, what if there are so many projects and all of those projects, they have different budgets and they have different cost codes, and in under each cost code, the business or the consultant, they are like making expenses. So how will Excel recognize that this salary is paid from the budget of this project number 1 and this salary is paid out of project number 2 and project number 3? This is a simple one. The complicated one we will discuss in the lesson. Please, if you have any further questions, please put your questions in the comment section and like and subscribe our channel. Thank you so much.